I'm Dustin Cormier, and this is the How to Rock Astrology audio series. The information in this recording is copyrighted by Dustin Cormier, 2015, all rights reserved, except where noted in the recording. The following information on ascendant or rising signs comes from Stephen Arroyo's Chart Interpretation Handbook, copyrighted in 1989 by Stephen Arroyo, published by CRCS Publications in Sebastopol, California. I do not own the following content. Guidelines to interpreting the ascendant. Although the ascendant is of deep and pervasive importance for each individual, there is no denying that it must be related to the rest of the chart, and especially to the sun sign, in order to understand it thoroughly for a particular person. The sun, after all, is the core identity, the very center of the consciousness, the way we assimilate much of our experience, whereas the ascendant, although it varies in importance from person to person, is not as central to the person's nature. It shows, among other things, the approach to life, but the sun shows life itself. The ascendant must serve the purposes, values, and creative goals of the sun for the individual to function happily and fully. A useful tool for understanding how a person's ascendant and sun sign interact is to compare the elements of the two factors. For example, a Cancer sun sign person with a fire sign rising is usually far more extroverted, forcefully expressive, and confident than a Cancer sun individual with, say, a more conservative, self-protective earth sign rising. For another example, an air sign sun person with a water sign rising may appear much more emotional than he or she really is, whereas a water sign sun person with an air sign rising may appear far more detached and less emotional than he or she really is. It should be pointed out that people are often relatively unaware of their ascendant nature as compared to their sun sign. In that sense, the ascendant is a factor that can be consciously developed further over time and consciously utilized to aid one's self-expression. I've known people who are relieved to find what their rising signs were, since it finally gave them a way of identifying a very deep but only semi-conscious tendency in themselves. In some cases, the qualities and abilities symbolized by the ascendant were just beginning to emerge, and learning the astrological keys to this factor helped personal development greatly. I should emphasize here that perhaps more than with most other factors in the chart, the early environment can encourage or suppress the expression of the ascendant's energies, since it is a primary channel with which one interacts with the outer world. The reader should view the following comparative evaluations as guidelines and as questions to explore, rather than as rigid statements of absolute truth. Sagittarius Modality or Quadruplicity. The Sagittarius Modality is mutable, the flexible energy mode. There are exactly 4 of these flexible signs in the zodiac belonging to the mutable modality. These include Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo, and they all share similar characteristics. All 4 of these signs exhibit more of an ability to lighten up and go with the flow than the other 8 signs of the zodiac. They're typically more light and lively, and more apt to entertain new ideas, even if they sometimes lack the concentration needed to always get to the bottom line. These flexible signs share the challenge to be more deliberate and focused, to be willing to slow down enough to avoid confusion or miss the point. The element of the ascendant. The element of the ascendant reveals the quality of energy flow directly vitalizing the physical body and the overall approach to life. Fire or air signs rising tend to conduct energy, encouraging active self-expression and dynamic expenditure of energy. Earth or water rising signs tend to conserve and resist the flow of vital energies, and hence indicate self-containment, sometimes self-repression, and the tendency of living within oneself. Fire signs rising, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Great vitality, physically energetic, beams energy outward into the world. Marked by a positive, optimistic outlook on life and a confident, bluntly honest demeanor. Active, wants to make a mark on life and see the results of one's efforts manifested in the world. Action orientation can lead to wasteful excesses and less awareness of the subtler needs of self and others. Sagittarius Ascendant or Sagittarius Rising. The optimism, buoyancy, enthusiasm, and broad-mindedness that are often, but not always, seen in Sagittarius Sun people are almost uniformly expressed by those who have a Sagittarius Ascendant. Virtually every Sagittarius Ascendant person I've ever seen could be described as perpetually upbeat, even in the face of continued disappointments or obstacles. Although the tendency toward forcefully preaching one's personal beliefs as universal truth is present in Sagittarius Ascendant as well as in Sagittarius Sun, the Ascendant expression of this tendency is usually more tolerant and inspiring, while the preaching of a Sagittarius Sun person is often experienced as being hit over the head with the truth. In other words, self-righteousness seems considerably more flagrant in those with Sun in Sagittarius. Also, Sagittarius Ascendant people almost never show the aimless, drifting discontent that is so often seen in those with Sagittarius Sun. Sagittarius Rising seems more inclined toward definite action in line with an ideal, whereas Sagittarius Sun is sometimes limited to mental or theoretical activity alone. The following information comes from Isabel Hickey's classic text, Astrology, A Cosmic Science, copyrighted in 1992 by Isabel M. Hickey Trust, published by CRCS Publications in Sebastopol, California. I do not own the following content. Sagittarius on the Ascendant. A breezy, outgoing, extroverted sign, but lacking in concentrative power. Has a love of horses and the out of doors. Many acquaintances, but few friends. Casual contracts rather than in-depth relationships. Superficial unless Jupiter is well placed by sign and house. Loves to travel and does travel extensively. Great restlessness. Loves to be on the move. Inclination toward philosophy and religion. Very talkative. Direct and to the point, but lacking in diplomacy. Executive type. Positive and masculine in expression. If in a feminine chart, lacks femininity and quietness. Tall in body as a rule, small shoulders and big hips like the centaur, its symbol. Puts on weight in middle years. The following information comes from The Secrets of Your Rising Sign by William Lamb with Webb Harris Jr., copyrighted by William Lamb in 2004, first published in the USA by Fairwinds Press in Gloucester, Massachusetts. I do not own the following content. Sweet and optimistic, happy-go-lucky Sagittarius is the winner of the zodiac. People with Sagittarius are hopeful dreamers with a forgiving "it's okay, we'll do it better next time" type of character. In youth, they're spontaneous and speak up like Dennis the Menace, saying the wrong things at the wrong time, but with such candor their parents usually find them more amusing than embarrassing. Sagittarius is the sign of foot in mouth, or speaking without thinking, an activity that can sometimes be offensive. Sagittarius children sometimes enjoy too much adoration from their elders, ending up being spoiled in childhood and arrogant as adults. They think themselves above things and ignore negativity as if it doesn't pertain to them, but their ultimately winning ways, forgiving nature, and hop, skip, and jump, 8-cylinder, full throttle, saddle up, we're out of here behavior easily earns them love and attention and adoration. Physical type. Good posture, agility, a spring to the step. Favored colors: purple, royal blue, deep pink. The following information comes from Isabel Hickey's Astrology, A Cosmic Science, copyrighted in 1992 by Isabel M. Hickey Trust, published by CRCS Publications in Sebastopol, California. The significance of the Sun and the Sun sign in astrology. The symbol of the Sun in astrology is a circle with a dot in the middle. This is a very deep occult spiritual symbolism. The circle represents the eternal self that did not start here and does not finish here on earth. The dot in the middle represents the divine spark at the center of every living cell, the light which lighteth every man with which cometh into the world. It is the point of light at the center of every living cell. In the blueprint, the sun represents the main expression of the individual, the heart and core of beingness. The sun has a different effect on individuals born at different times of the year. According to the sign and house in which the sun is placed, we are able to judge the general vitality and physique, the qualities of leadership, and the individual's ability to succeed in life. In a personal chart, the sun represents the basic drive for significance, the will, male relationships and female charts, especially with the father, vital energy coming from the etheric levels and prana, fuel on which the total personality operates, urge for power, constitutional strength, and finally, a powerful sun means very great power to do and to be. Keywords of the sun: will, individuality, spirit. The sun is the significator of the spirit in man, the beingness or isness of life. It rules the basic drive for significance, the will to be. Physically, the sun is the sustainer of life, giver of light, heat, and energy. More than anything else in the chart, it shows the will, man's highest expression. Its aspects show deep character traits, the chief ambitions. It needs aspects to the planets for strength of expression in the horoscope. As the sun moves through the signs, its return to the sign of its exaltation, Aries, the eastern horizon, marks the beginning of the astrological year. Springtime brings the release of a new cycle of life. As the sun moves through the houses, its return to the eastern horizon is the beginning of the astrological day, sunrise. The sun sign in its element. The following information comes from Stephen Arroyo's Chart Interpretation Handbook, copyrighted in 1989 by Stephen Arroyo, published by CRCS Publications in Sebastopol, California. I do not own the following content. The sun sign's element is usually dominant in considering the overall psychology of a person. This is so because the sun sign's element reveals the attunement of one's basic vitality, identity, and power of self-projection, as well as the fundamental quality of his or her consciousness. The element of one's sun sign reveals the basic inner force motivating everything we do. The element of the sun sign also gives insight into how any individual sees life itself and what expectations they have of the life experience. Cancer Sun. Cancer is a water sign. These are the common characteristics of people born with the sun and water signs. Basically motivated by deep emotional yearnings and desires. Recharges energy through intense emotional experience and intimate involvement with people. Interpretive guidelines for the sun in Cancer. Experiences strength through nurturing, sensitive, mother-like qualities. Feels instinctive urge to protect one's ego. Builds inner self a nest from which it can safely radiate. Levels of vitality and creative energy depend on moods and so are difficult to maintain. Expresses self creatively through emotions and feels need to be recognized for sensitivity. Sense of individuality is expressed most clearly in a familiar, sheltered environment or situation. This final article comes from The Secrets of Your Rising Sign by William Lamb with Webb Harris, Jr., copyrighted by William Lamb in 2004, first published in the USA by Fair Winds Press in Gloucester, Massachusetts. I do not own the following content. Cancer born mid-afternoon. Cancer with Sagittarius rising. Here come the most delightfully inspiring people on the planet. They're caring and benevolent, and so optimistically smiley-faced that there's little evidence of Cancer caution or apprehension. Oh, it's there somewhere, but it's not obvious. Sagittarius is what's showing here. The willy-nilly, high-rolling, happy-go-lucky Sagittarius personality is a wonderful complement to the sensitive, cautious Cancer ego. With supreme inoffensiveness, these people inspire and uplift others with a cheerful ability to say the right thing at the right time. There's an inviting Pied Piper here. The glass is always half full rather than half empty, and they present their optimism in a way that never fails to raise spirits. They're fun-loving creatures with winning dispositions who see little merit in crying over spilled milk. They respond to error with an "it's okay, we'll do it better next time" attitude. Cancerians born mid-afternoon find great success in life when they use their Sagittarius personality to put a positive spin on negative circumstances. For instance, if they're tempted to dwell resentfully on the past, which is a common Cancer proclivity, their Sagittarius forgivingness and awareness that tomorrow's another day supply them with the tools to put those resentments quickly to rest. Onward and upward is their battle cry. They're always on the verge of rushing in where angels fear to tread. They feel their God within from moment to moment, and they know from experience that the necessities of life tend to work themselves out when they keep a positive attitude. They know that their family loves them dearly, and that people almost always respond to them positively. They're eternally aware that forgiveness always triumphs over bitterness. What's not to like about them? This nurturing Cancer ego, coupled with the benevolence of Sagittarius rising, possesses marvelously well-developed people skills. And because these individuals are extremely self-motivated, they often enjoy a successful career in sales or any other area that rewards them for inspiring others to think as they do. They're very convincing. They might be drawn to selling travel-related wares such as timeshares or vacation packages. But the public and celebratory aspects of theme parks and nightclubs are also suitable settings for a happy-go-lucky workplace, as are the wide-open spaces of a family ranch. If they don't allow their Cancer greed to lead them into shifty schemes and a patent misuse of their confidence-building powers, they can find a great deal of personal fulfillment in any number of vocations.